So yes, so this evening I am going to be talking about actually starting your business. I realised that there are a lot of people that have come into the group in the last few months, the last few years really, who are hobby bakers and are thinking of setting up a business, but haven't been sure whether they want to or not. And I realised that I haven't done a startup live for quite a while, so I thought it was about time to have a session where I talk you through. I've got a PDF guide. I've just updated it today, so I'll put the updated version in the group so you can have a look. I'll show you through it, and then you'll be able to actually download it yourself from the group. So I'll be going through that this evening, and I'll also be talking about a course that I've got going on in October, and also I'm going to talk to you about my membership. So there's a couple of ways that if you want a bit more help than just the free group, I'm available in a couple of ways, and I'll tell you about that at the end. I presume that if you're just starting up and haven't had a business yet, you might not know who I am or anything about me. So let me tell you about me. I'm Annie Bennett. Annie Bennett, which happens to be, I discovered this a while back, that I always say to people Annie as in Little Orphan Annie, but what I didn't realise when I said that was actually Little Orphan Annie's surname was Bennett as well. So I set myself, when I did some PR work, I was told to set myself up as a Google alert to see, you know, if I'm mentioned anywhere. And more often than not, it comes up as Annie Bennett from Little Orphan Annie, the film, the musical. But hey, never mind. Oh, Laura's here. Hello, Laura. Nice to see you. Yeah, so I'm Annie Bennett. I was over 30 years, a primary school teacher. And head teacher. I was a head teacher for 4 years, something like that. But I left that, the less said about that, the better. But I left that and set up my baking business, Leading Lady Cakes, in 2014. I did that alongside supply teaching and a little bit of, you know, in-school work, part-time, a little bit of full-time as well. And when I set up my business, I started off doing market trading. So I did a lot of market trading, which I absolutely loved. But my goal was always to be a wedding cake baker. But when I started my business, I'd never made a wedding cake. So I learned how to do it. And now I just do wedding cakes. That's all I advertise. I do other cakes, but generally only for previous clients or for family. I don't advertise like birthday cakes or anything like that, because I just keep it to wedding cakes. In 2020, I won't go into what happened in 2020 because you all are aware, I'm very sure. 2020, I had lots of weddings booked in, and of course that one day in March when everything changed, all my wedding bookings went out the window. In fact, all my supply teaching went out the window as well. And that was the time when I set up the home baking business community. Well, I started to think about it. It actually got set up in June that year because I'd done some work, I'd done some learning about how to make passive income, how to make income online. And I was taught how to set up a business and training courses and that kind of thing. So it was 2020 when the home baking business community was set up. So it's over 3 years ago now. Gosh, it seems ages. Although it's flown by as well. So, but we now have nearly 9,000 people in here, which is fabulous. So yeah, so I'm admin. I keep an eye on the group. I'm in there sometimes. I go in and I just check everything's okay, because I'm very, very hot on people being nice, people being kind, people being supportive, which 99.999% of the time we are. It's a fabulous group. I'm so proud of it. And anytime there isn't, there is someone not adhering to that, generally I get rid of them because I can, because it's my group. Because we haven't got space for people that are unkind. So that's what happens. So that's me. I'm also a trained bookkeeper. When I set up my cake business, I decided that I'd need to learn how to sort my books, my finances, income and expenses and all that. So never doing anything by halves. I actually qualified to become a bookkeeper, and I did actually have a very, very small practice. Only had one client. But I did that alongside supply teaching. But then I realized that actually that wasn't something I really wanted to pursue. I wanted to do the cakes and the teaching, the cake teaching. So I don't practice anymore, but as a result, obviously I have lots of knowledge about how taxes work, how finances work, HMRC, all that kind of stuff. So I'm able to guide bakers in the right direction there as well. What else do you want to know about me? I mean, just look at my Insta and my Facebook. You'll find out all sorts. I'm a trained soprano. This is where Leading Lady Cakes got its name, because I've sung various leading roles, not in a professional capacity, a sort of semi-professional capacity. And I also love being on stage. I'm just getting back into Shakespeare. I used to do lots and lots of Shakespeare. I used to do lots of musicals and Shakespeare, but I'm just getting back into the Shakespeare locally, which I utterly love. So yeah, I'm a performer. My family don't really know where I got it from because my parents aren't at all. Although I've got various uncles and great uncles and aunts and things that were performers. So we wonder whether the gene passed on. If it is a gene, is it a gene? I don't know. So yeah, so that's me. I've got 2 daughters who are 20 and 23. But they were obviously much younger when I set up my business. So I do understand, how the problems of setting up a business when you have young children. And I was a single parent at the time as well. So I get all that. I understand how tricky all that can be. So that is me. That is where I'm coming from. So a lot of what I teach in terms of, starting and growing a baking business are things that I have learned along the way. And most of it, I wish I'd known right at the beginning, because I did spend quite a few years feeling my way and trialing and erroring and doing things completely wrong. Sometimes I look back at things that I did and thought, oh my Lord, I wish someone had told me an alternative for that path that I chose. I mean, it wasn't really until 2020 that I got amongst business owners, not necessarily cake business. In fact, most of my business colleagues aren't involved with cakes or baking or anything. But I've learned so much from them, so much, all about being visible, using social media, about ideal clients, about pricing, about all sorts of things. I have picked up from, sales, PR. I've done a lot of PR. You can see I've been in various magazines and online, written in the Metro, all sorts of things. So, and that's all because I connected with lots of other business people and learnt. I'm a bit of a sponge when it comes to learning. I love learning. I love finding out new things. So that is sort of where I'm coming from. So when I'm teaching things and when I'm telling you, giving you tips and advice, it's things that I've learned along the way that I wish I'd known right back at the beginning. So that's where we're coming from. Okie dokie. So let's get going because it's almost 15:15 and I've waffled on far too long. I always say that I'm not going to go on too much, but I will. Right. But I always do. Right, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the PDF. I'm just going to get rid of me there. Now this PDF, there is a version of it in the home baking business community in the files section, but I'm going to get rid of the old one and put this one in because it's just slightly updated. It looks prettier as well and it's in my branding colours. which is always good. So it's starting a baking business, steps to follow with checklist. So I'm going to talk you through what's on here. So, oh, hang on. Press the wrong button and then it made a noise at me. There we are. There we are. So this is what it looks like. So you can see in the middle here, can you see my cursor? In the middle, 4 steps, sort of 5 there, but not exactly a step, that one. And then from these, we do things alongside as well. So the first thing you need to do if you want to set up a baking business from home is check who owns your home, check with who owns your home, whether you are allowed to run a small business from there, either your mortgage provider or your landlord. Vast majority, there's not a problem. Very occasionally, people will come up with an issue because there's a covenant on the land, or there's a clause in your rental agreement or something like that. Often it's to do with insurance, that, you know, a landlord might not have the insurance to cover you as a business, but if you persevere and you're determined enough, there may be ways around that. I know of people that have sort of talked to landlords and said, well, I can sort out the insurance. We'll talk about insurance in a minute. But there are ways of doing it. You need to let them know that it's not a full-on business, i.e. you're not going to have people trooping in and out of your home 24/7. You are using perhaps one room in your house, the kitchen, to run your business. Let them know sort of percentage of time. So it might be that if you start off small, so you might be baking, for example, on a Friday, going to a market on a Saturday. So you're going to be baking 1 day a week to start with. So let them know sort of the basics of what you know already. The chances are if it's just one room, it's not going to change the whole of your premises. You're not going to have people coming and going. Most providers are happy with that. Then once you've sorted that out, number 2 here is you then need to register with the local council. There are lots of things I see online, lots of conversations that I see online in various cake groups. The conversations that are in this cake group are generally, shall we say, okay and factually correct. I sometimes see things in other cake groups that people put in incorrect information and I go, oh, no, can't say that. By the way, if I do ever see a comment or anything in this Facebook group that I know is incorrect and that will confuse, I generally will remove it, because there's nothing worse than getting lots of different information that conflicts with each other and not knowing which is right and which is wrong. I think that the trouble often, and I see this a lot in cake groups, is that people get an answer and then they pass it on, and it's like Chinese whispers. It sort of changes when you go to the 3rd person or the 4th person that's passing it on, and the 5th person, and by the time you get to, you know, the 7th or 8th person that's passing it on, it's changed form completely. I'll give you a couple of examples of that as we go on. But generally, when I give advice in the group, more often than not, if it's sort of anything to do with labelling or finances or anything like that, I'll put a link in to say, there's your information and there's where it says, so you know it's right. With business registration, if you are operating as a business, i.e. you are taking money, even if it's just for ingredients, then you are seen as a business, so you have to register. You cannot, no money can change hands without you being registered officially. Now, here's one piece of misinformation. People think that the rules changed in 2020 during lockdown. They didn't. These rules were set up and put on the FSA, I think it's 2016. But what happened in lockdown is the Food Standards Agency, the FSA, put up a reminder of this, saying, if you're starting a business, you've got to do this. And people saw that as the rules were changing. Well, they haven't. It's always been like this. I'll say always. It's been like that for a lot longer than people have thought. So yes, so if you're taking any money at all, you have to register. And that's how you do it there. So that is a link on the PDF. If you download the PDF, you get the link to the place where you have to do it. You need to know your business name. Although for the food business, it doesn't matter if you want to change it afterwards, because that registration form just goes to the EHO. And if you do decide to change your business name, you can just let your EHO know. Most of them are fairly sort of informal with that kind of thing. And actually, even with the HMRC, your business name is really just a reference, unless you are a limited company. I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're running as a sole trader, your business name, there's no list of sole trader business names. So you can even take another sole trader's business name. I wouldn't recommend it because there's all sorts of issues. In fact, this little section here talks about business name. Check that there isn't another business that has your choice of name trademarked. And there's a link there where you can look to see if your name has been trademarked. If it's not been trademarked and it's not a limited company, officially you can use it. But I wouldn't recommend it, particularly if it's the name of another business that's local to you, because it's just going to cause so much hassle. You're going to get grief from that business. Customers will get confused, all sorts. You're best off finding quite an unusual and unique name for your business. Go a little bit outside the box, if you like, and find something that people are going to remember, that's going to stick in their heads. There are an awful lot of, sorry if this is your business name, but there are an awful lot of so-and-so's cakes and bakes, so-and-so's bakery, so-and-so's cakery. There's an awful lot of those. This is why I chose Leading Lady Cakes, because it's something slightly different. But what I suggest you do once you've thought of a name is just Google it, see what comes up. If there's already a domain, a website with that name, then you might want to think again, because you won't be able to have a website of your name. And even if you're not thinking of having a website yet, you want to leave yourself that option open. Because, you know, when you grow a business, you will need a website at some point. That's just my opinion, but I think it's quite a valid one. So there we go. So that's finding a business name. And if we go back to the center here, we go to the other arrow, which is that once you've registered, you then have 28 days. Now, the chances are once you register, you'll get an email that is generally set wording. And sometimes it says, I think it depends on your council, but usually it says you will receive an unannounced inspection. If you're from home, the chances are it won't be unannounced. I have known of people, there have been people that have said in the group, oh yes, my EHO just turned up. But if you're a private dwelling, you don't have to let them in. They're not if it's a commercial premises, you can't refuse them. But if it's your house and it's not convenient, perhaps you've got, you know, children doing all sorts of things, and, you know, life's a nightmare, you could say, I'm really sorry, I can't do it now. Can we make an appointment? And they'll come back. Okay. But you have 28 days. After 28 days, you will then officially be allowed to trade, whether you have been inspected or not. There are lots and lots of businesses. Just ask in the group who's waiting for an inspection. You'll get loads of people saying, I've waited months. Some even wait years. It really depends on how busy your EHO, your environmental health officer, is, how much workload they have, because it's worth remembering that an EHO doesn't just deal with home baking businesses. This might sound stating the obvious, but it's worth saying that EHOs deal with a whole range of different things, you know, checking farms, checking safety of things, checking all sorts of things. So, you know, a little cake business that makes a few cakes occasionally, which is how most of us start off, that you're going to be right down on the, you know, right on the bottom of their priority list on the whole. So don't worry if you have to wait. Just make sure you've got everything in place so that when they do say, right, I'll come and inspect you, everything's ready. Okay. So while you're waiting for your 28 days, in fact, it's worth saying actually that some EHOs say, oh no, you don't have to wait, you can start trading now. but you must wait for your EHO to say that. Okay, again, another misinformation I've heard is people have been told that by their EHO, and they go into a cake group and say, oh no, it's fine, you can start trading whenever. You can't. You can only do that if you have written permission from your EHO, so beware of that. Okay, but that 28 days is perfect for setting up your business and launching your business. You can be getting onto social media, you can be telling people, you can start to be talking people, you can start having waiting lists, you can start showing people the kinds of things that you're going to sell when you start trading, give them a start date. You know, people love anticipation, people love being on a waiting list, people love, oh, I can't wait, you know. So set that up in that 28 days, it is perfect. In fact, you can start doing it even before you register. I'm starting up a business. It's going to be called this. I'm going to be doing this. Start getting your following on social media. Start building an email list of people that are interested in what you do, so that when you can start trading, you're hitting the ground running. Okay. And that's sort of down here, really. How are you going to let people know about you? That's sort of launching. But it's 28 days is just perfect for really getting yourself out there. So the other things you can be doing is looking at your terms and conditions, setting those up. You've got to have terms and conditions. It's a legal requirement, actually, if you are trading and doing business and taking people's money, you've got to have T's and C's to let them know your terms of trading. So you've got to have those. There are templates in the group, and I will also tell you about other ways you can get some T's and C's as well. Pricing, you've got to sort out your pricing. There are quite a few helpful bits and pieces in the group. In fact, there is one document that I've put in the group in the files section, and it's there as well. That's the link there, that will link you to some videos that I've done and some resources that I've got for you. I don't allow pricing requests in the group. I don't allow how much would you charge for this, because I'm very, very hot on, you've got to know your costs. You've got to know your costs. You've got to know what your overheads are. You've got to know your profit margin, and you've got to cost your products according to that, so that you know you are making a profit. If you ask someone else what they charge and go, oh, that sounds about right, I'll do that, you've got no idea whether all your costs are being covered and how much money you're going to be making. So I don't allow pricing requests for that reason. But if you want help in pricing, absolutely. How do I do it? Some people can be quite, this is disingenuous of me really, but I don't mean sneaky, but some people put, can I have help with pricing? I'm not sure what to include, and can you give me a ballpark figure? If it includes that, I will get rid of that post. There's no ballpark figures. There's no going rate. I don't believe in any of that. You must price according to what it costs you. Ignore the competition, honestly. Ignore them. You need to know something that I wish I'd known when I first started my business, is something called ideal client. There's a video on it on my YouTube channel, and there's a little bit about it in the group. I did a live on it. And it's basically saying that you hone in on what type of client you want to sell your goods to. It's a whole evening's worth of explanation, but in a nutshell, food shopping, you've got Lidl, you've got Waitrose, you've got Fortnum and Mason. Each of those, they all sell food, but they all sell them to very, very different people, very different clients. And that's sort of the idea. And when you set up your business, ideally you should hone in on the type of person you want to buy your goods, your products. And that will actually your pricing, your social media, all those kind of things will, knowing about your ideal client will have an influence on that. Okay, I'll tell you more about finding out about ideal client a bit later. Collect receipts for everything. You can backdate. So if you've bought things for your business already up to 7 years before you start your business, you can put things down as expenses if you have the receipt. So if you've bought a food mixer, you can put that down as an expense on day one of your trading. Okay, so keep all your receipts because you won't need them. Right. So let's come back to the middle here and talk a little bit about inspections. Your EHO will contact you about inspections either sooner or later, as I said before. Timing can vary from council to council, and it's worth saying that different EHOs in different councils can have very, very different agendas and very different priorities of what they're looking for. So don't always take, so if someone's had an inspection, and often in the group people will sort of list things that were asked, which is brilliant. I love it when people do that, but don't take those as gospel because they may not be the priorities for your EHO in your council. It's going to be roughly the same, particularly with allergens. All EHOs are very hot on allergens, quite rightly, but there are other things that might be different. What you will need to do is your level 2 food hygiene training. Okay, there are many providers. If you're wanting to find one and not sure, ask for recommendations in this group. Just say, I want to do my level 2 food hygiene. Who's got some recommendations? High speed training, Reed do them, Eversley do them, lots, and they're about between 10 and sort of £20, and generally get a certificate which you can print off and show your EHO. But you'll need to do that. Level 2 is all you need. You don't need level 3 unless you have staff, or I mean, I do level 3 because I do the training, so I have that extra level. Again, another piece of misinformation that I haven't seen it recently actually, but it used to go around, was that if you deal with cream, you need to have a level 3 food hygiene certificate. That's absolute nonsense. Using cream is considered a slightly higher risk foodstuff, but it's nothing to do with, you know, your level certificate is nothing to do with cream. You just need to let your EHO that know that you are using cream, and they will make sure that you've got everything, usually fridge things, set up to make sure that that is safe. Okay. Quick slug of water there. You'll also need to do food allergen training, and as you can see, there's a link. There's free. That's free. It's on the Food Standards Agency site. Very good, that one. Get that done. I also have in the files in here my labelling guide, which shows you, depending on how you sell, what you have to label and how. And it depends on how you sell as to what labelling you need. It can be quite confusing, but if in doubt, ask in the group. Okay. Now, the other thing you'll need before your inspection is the Safer Food, Better Business Pack. I've got one here, but I'm realizing I'm screen sharing, so you can't see it. I'll show you when I stop screen sharing. You'll probably need the caterer's version. Some councils, as it says, some councils have their own. Have I written that there? No, I haven't written it there. But some councils have their own home baking version, but it's usually taken from that. They've taken relevant bits from that. So it's all based on it, basically. If you are in Scotland, it's CookSafe. It's very similar. If you're in Northern Ireland, oh, what's it called? It's a slightly different one, but it's, again, it's very similar. All the contents are virtually identical. They're just set out in different ways. If you need links for those, let me know and I'll put them in. But yes, so the Safer Food, Better Business basically has the safe methods that you're expected to follow in your kitchen, to do with cleaning, to do with cross-contamination, to do with fridge temperatures, all those kind of things, to make sure that your kitchen is safe. Okay, so you'll need to look at that. You can download it from their website from using that link for nothing. You can print it out. You can do a digital version, keep it on your computer if you don't want to print out. You can buy a ready printed version. You can buy them on eBay or Amazon. People have printed them out and put them in folders for you. It's up to you how you access it. You don't have to print it out. I have heard of EHOs insisting on them being printed out, but I reckon that you could argue, environmental awareness. No, I've got a digital copy and I filled it out there. I reckon if you stand your ground, you wouldn't need to print it out if you really don't want to. Right, so that's the Safer Food, Better Business pack. I'll show you that at the end once I've stopped sharing. Number 3, check your home insurance. Now, insurances, you have to think of 2 things. First of all, your house and buildings insurance. You need to let them know that you're running a business. Some insurers will say, yeah, okay, we'll add it on. Some won't insure for home businesses. Just go on to Compare the Market or Confused or one of the other sites, and you'll be able to find a home insurance that will allow you to put business use in there. They just ask you a few questions. Direct Line are one that do it as well. But that is different from your business public liability, public and product liability insurance. 2 different types of insurance. Again, you can Google for that. Simply Business is the place to look for that. When you do sign up to Simply Business, you do get a referral code. So if you are going to use Simply Business, ask in the group, someone will give you a code, you get a voucher, they get a voucher, and so on and so forth. What I don't like in the group, though, is when someone asks a question about starting up and they get bombarded with Simply Business reference codes. Only please put them in if someone has asked for them. Otherwise, it's very confusing and overwhelming for the person who's posted. So I have been known to remove them if people have done that, because it's not fair on the person posting. But yeah, there are referral codes available for that. And then eventually, I haven't put it as a step because it's not something you necessarily need to do straight away. Depends on the time of year. Eventually, you'll have to register with the HMRC. That should be his, actually. I should have changed that, shouldn't I? His Majesty's. Because you will need to obviously declare your business earnings. Now, as it says here, you only need to declare if your turnover, and that your turnover is actually just the money you take in, nothing to do with, don't take anything off for expenses. Your turnover is just the money you have in. If that is £1,000 or more within a tax year, between the 6th of April one year to the 5th of April the next, then you will need to register and declare. If your income isn't above that £1,000 within that year, you don't need to. If you need more information on that, my YouTube channel has got a finance basics video that talks you through all that, or ask in the group, because it is confusing, and I have seen people give the wrong information on that, in which case I will remove any wrong information if I see it. There was a time before 2017, I think the rules changed, where if you set up your own business, you had to tell the HMRC within 3 months. That is not the case now. You have to do it at the end of the tax year if you owe them any money, basically. So that is the step-by-step guide. On the second page is a checklist. So it's just a sort of tick list so that you can keep an eye on what you've done and what you need to do, and what you need to do next. I love a checklist, so that's why I put one in. And then the last page is my food hygiene record book, which lots of people use. I brought this out a couple of years ago, and EHOs love it, even though I say it myself. It basically replaces the diary pages of the Safer Food, Better Business pack, and it has them all in one place for you. So you just have your book where you can record your fridge temperatures, you can do your cleaning checks, you can, all sorts. And anyone that has an inspection that has one says, oh, Annie, the EHO loved your book. So I know that it's well received by EHOs, and it is available to purchase, funnily enough. It's on Amazon, but you can click there, or it's all over. It's on, it's in the group in various places. So there we are. So that, let's just stop sharing for a minute. Here I am again. That is my steps to business with checklist. Here is the Safer Food, Better Business. I have got a folder for mine. Oops, there it is. That someone has printed out and put in a folder, just because I was doing lots of teaching, it was easier to have one. Some you can get them printed out with just a sort of a spine, a little plastic spiny thing on it. But it depends on how you work. If you like to have it, and a pencil and ticking, then do that. If you don't mind doing it digitally, you can do it that way. If you prefer to have things online and not printed, that's absolutely fine too. So let me talk to you about some different ways that I can help you with this if you want a little bit more help. Oh, hang on. Pressing all the wrong buttons here. So there are 2 ways that I can help you start up. Well, 3 ways really. One is in this group, lots of advice, lots of bits and pieces, files, guides, all sorts of things. If you want a little bit more support, I am doing a training day, and I'm going to do it again after October, but I do a training day, and I will show you the details of it. Hang on, let me share my screen again. Here it is. This is on my website, anniebennett.co.uk. Start your own baking business. It's a whole day where I go through this agenda here, which means that by the end of the day, you know exactly how to set up your business. You know exactly what you need to do. And that day is in London on the 15th, Sunday, the 15th of October, which means that if you do it on that day and you register either that day or the day after, because actually registering is moderately straightforward, particularly if you're shown how, you could be up and running and selling, for the Christmas season. So, it is possible to get going moderately quickly. So I talk about registering. I show you all the forms. I do a big session on kitchen inspections. I will go through the Safer Food, Better Business section by section, so you know exactly what to expect with your inspection. I'll do a session on finances, so you can understand where you are with tax, even if you've got another job, even if you've got a part or full-time job or another business. I can show you exactly what you need to do to make sure you're all sorted with finances. We do a session on insurance to make sure that you've got the right insurance in place. We do a session on ideal client. I talked about that earlier. It's really, really important to know your ideal client in business. Something I had no clue about. I'd not even heard the phrase when I started my business. But once I really understood what it was about, it's a game changer. Those of you that know about, those people that know about ideal client understand what a game changer it is. When I first started hearing about this, I thought, oh, I don't need an ideal client. I'll sell to anybody. That's a mistake that lots of businesses make. If you try and sell to everybody, you end up selling to no one. Businesses focus on the type of customer that they are aiming their products at. But we talk about that on the day, long session on that. So there's also a session on branding and marketing. Excuse me, drink of water. Being visible, starting to, find out where to get your customers from, how to engage with customers so that they start making orders. We do a session on pricing. I'm really hot on pricing. I can show you exactly how to work out your costs, including your overheads, those difficult costs like your electricity and your broadband and your, all those really difficult ones. I can show you exactly how to work those out so that you are making sure that you are costing for profit. And then at the end of the day, we have a business planning session, and I give you time to work out an action plan for the next few months. And you will be part of a Facebook group where I will check up and keep an eye and support you as you go along. So it's not a day where at the end of the day I say, bye then, good luck with it all, and leave you to it. I do actually help you follow up and put everything in place that I've taught you. And I don't think there are any other courses around that do that by any means. So you do get an awful lot of value from the course. And you also get lots of free stuff, my books, spreadsheets, templates, all sorts of things. And I'll probably bung in loads of other stuff as well, because I'm like that. Oh yeah, well, you need that. I'll give you that too. So that's Start Your Own Baking Business. If you click on this on my website, you will get the actual agenda for the day. Now the course is £300. It might sound a lot, doesn't to me. I'm used to my own pricing, but bear in mind it's not just for the day, it's for the follow-up. You get support all the way along to make sure that you're really starting your business on, on the right footing. And if you set up in time for the Christmas market, you could actually make that 300 back by the end of the year as well. If you put everything in place that I've taught you. So the possibilities are endless there. So that is my Start Your Own Baking Business Day, 15th of October, Central London. I haven't got a venue yet because I need to know numbers before I get it, but it will be easily accessible by transport. The other way of working with me is a little bit cheaper, and it is my Home Baking Professional Society. Here it is, my Home Baking Professional Society. It's a paid membership. You pay monthly, £20 a month. And in that, you get all sorts of training. There's a library, and this is just one section of it. This is the admin section. There's a startup video. There's a preparing to trade video, which talks about taking orders and that kind of thing. As you can see here, lots and lots of different videos, terms and conditions templates. And that's just one section, the whole pricing section there, whole finance section there. So it's the same information as the day, but it's sort of self-learning. You access it as and when. And that's just one section. So the other sections are customers. So there's training on ideal clients, on branding, on visibility, on sales. There's a whole section on different skills, baking skills, decorating skills, selling in different ways, that kind of thing. And then the business mindset bit at the end. I called it energy because then it's then CAKEC. See, I wanted it like that. So this is sort of business mindset, attitude, money mindset, well-being, which is really important in business, strategy, again, really important. You've got to plan what you're doing. So that is the Home Baking Professional Society. So that's a slightly less expensive way of working with me. Okay. I will put links to both of these in the group. I'll also be putting them on my social media. I'll be plastering it all over my social media. If you do want to talk to me further, particularly about the training day, if you've got questions about it, then email me or message me. You can access me via the group, and I'll be happy to talk you through any questions you have about any of those. All right, so there we are. There we are. There I am. It is recorded, my lovely. It must be, it's the Facebook algorithms. I can be going live, and for some reason it won't show it to some people in the group. It's really, really annoying. But yes, this is recorded. It will go in the guides section, so you can watch it back. I'll also be putting it on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it from there as well. So yes, so I'm sorry it didn't let you in. Oh, hello, Candy Cakes. Hello. Hello, Serene. I can, yeah, you can watch it back. And in fact, watching it back sometimes is easier because you can stop it and, you know, look at things in a little bit more detail. And you can fast forward through all my waffle. So yes, so do watch it, my lovely. And if you've got any questions, then just ask. Okay, you're very welcome, very welcome. Righty-ho, so there we are. I hope that's been useful. If you're watching it on replay, do let me know. And again, if you've got any questions, just ask. I'm happy to help. But generally, this group is just full of all sorts of amazingly experienced people and helpful people who, if you've got a question about starting up, will help. I do come in, obviously, because it's my group, and I will answer. Usually if no one else has got there first. If someone else has got there first and given the perfect answer, I think, right, yeah, that's sorted. But sometimes I'll pop in if I see a question, I think, oh yes, I know the answer to that. I'll put my answer down on there. Yes, I'm easily available in the group. If you want to ask a question in the group, it's generally best to tag me, because then I get specifically notified. And if I forget to answer, just nag me. I'm the most unoffensible. Unoffensible. I'm not easily offended by anything. So nag me, remind me, you know, whatever, because I'm here, there and everywhere a lot of the time, and I'm not 24/7 in the group. But just remind me and I'll come in and I'll sort you out. All right. Okie dokie. I'll leave it there. I've got a feeling that the pie I put in the oven just before 7 is now burning. Hopefully my daughter has smelt it and taken it out. Otherwise, it's going to be a lovely burnt offering for me this evening, but never mind. I'd much prefer to be in here and talking to you live. So there we go. Righty-ho. So thank you so much for joining me, those that are. And say, if you're watching on replay, just let me know. Ask if you've got any questions. And I will be live again, probably next month. I'll try and do one a month in the group. And I'll think of something useful to come and talk to you about. All right, so have a lovely rest of September, and I will see you at some point in October. So take care and I'll see you then. All right, bye.